Hey, good morning, Internet, and welcome back to Matic Film Society. We just put out a new video about the 5 most common mistakes that we see new film photographers make when they're just learning how to shoot film, and these are also the same mistakes that I made during my first year of shooting film. I got a lot of questions from people wanting to see what my film looked like when I was just first starting out. In the 5 mistakes video, we showed a lot of the images that I had shot over the past few months and recent years, and they were some of my more polished images, you could say. And so in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look back at the first roll of film that I ever shot using this camera. So this is the Canon AE1 program. It's a very simple SLR, has the option for full manual or full automatic controls with it. And it's a really good starting camera for your first time shooting film. And so the reason that I wanna do this video is because I wanna show you how bad your images can look when you first start shooting film, because honestly this first roll of film, like, there's so many mistakes. Some of the images are honestly barely even usable, but that's why I want to show them to you, to show you where you can start from and where you can get to with your film photography if you're willing to dedicate the time and the intention to actually start learning this medium and how you can tune it and make it into your own art form and self-expression for showing your life and the way you see the world to the people around you. Do you guys want to hear how this camera sounds? Because honestly, it's like the most beautiful noise. I could do it for days. It's so nice. It's lovely. So looking at these images, what you can see is that first off, the camera is not actually functioning completely perfect. And this is one of the issues that you might run into when you first start shooting film, is not all film cameras have been properly maintained. They're dirty, they're dusty, their light seals are broken, maybe their light meter doesn't work. There's a whole bunch of problems that can happen with film cameras over time. What you're seeing here is you're seeing a whole bunch of light leaks. You're seeing areas that the foam backing in the camera has degraded over time, and so it's letting light hit the film in problematic ways. Sometimes light leaks can look really beautiful and you get these wonderful casts of color striking across your image. But for the most part, when you get these light leaks, you'll end up just completely burning away one section of your film. You'll have these bright splotches of white completely blowing out the sky or one left frame of the image. Light leaks can show up in a whole bunch of different ways, but fixing them is all pretty much the exact same. What you want to do is you want to get some foam. You can get this like sticky, really thin foam. You'll gently want to remove the old degraded light seals and then replace it with some new foam. I've seen some people use black thread as well for really tricky spots where you have to get it really intricate. And I haven't done that, but it's a very possible fix as well and really cheap. When you start shooting with your first camera, whatever it happens to be, understand that there could be artifacts and problems with the images that are strictly due to camera oldness, I guess. Yeah, it can just be the camera. It's not always the photographer's fault. A lot of times it's my fault when I mess up an image, as you can see with a number of these other ones here, where the focus is completely off and I didn't understand how the focusing system worked on my camera. So this brings me to another point where just because an image looks messed up, it's not always due to the camera's fault. Sometimes it is the operator error as well. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, because with film cameras, 99% of them are going to be manual focus cameras. And so you're going to have a system kind of like this, maybe, where you have in the Canon AE1, you have a split prism focus. And what that's going to do is when you're looking through that center part of the viewfinder, you'll see 2 images that are kind of split away from each other. And what you're going to want to do is wherever you need your focus plane to be, the subject that you need to be in focus, is you're going to want to put that circle right on your subject, right on like a contrast area, like the side of their face or a straight up and down pull or something where you can see a clear indication of that's where your focus needs to be. You're going to rotate your lens until those 2 images line up perfectly, and that's going to mean that that plane within what you're seeing in your frame, that's the part that's going to actually be in focus, and everything outside of that, front and back, is going to be out of focus. Another tip for when you're just starting out with film is to make sure you understand how your camera works and the functionality of it. And you're going to learn that as you shoot through your first roll. I've noticed that it helps me a lot when I'm learning a new camera to not always look at how it works online and try and learn it online first. What I like to do is shoot as many frames as I can, just trying to figure out and understand how that specific camera works by myself, and see like what changing all the settings does, see what knobs do, see what dials do, see how it changes and manipulates what I'm seeing through the viewfinder. And I've learned that figuring something out that way, where you don't have prior knowledge of how it works, for some reason, at least with me anyways, it kind of instills the knowledge of how it works a little bit deeper into my mind, I feel, because I was the one that figured out how it works and kind of its oddities and quirks, you know, like depending on how the light in the scene is, you know, changing the settings that it shows you on your light meter, or how the focusing system works on your camera, or what it feels like when you've hit the end of a roll of the camera and what buttons you need to press in order to rewind your film. These kind of things, when you learn them by yourself instead of being taught them, I don't know, it might not be the correct way to tell people how to learn stuff, but for me personally, it does help me, you know, understand the camera in a little bit more of like a subconscious level. Like, you know, I've felt these before, I've seen how it does those things personally, and so that kind of just helps me remember it. And I don't know if that's a tip, but that's how I've learned how to shoot film, and it's I don't know if it's working out, but it's doing something, I guess. But so anyways, let's take a look at some of these images that I shot through my very first roll of film. This was back in 2021 when I first started this, and I did a full film book of all of these images that I shot. And so this is another tip for those that are wanting to get into film photography or want to improve their film photography, kind of take it to the next level. This is what I feel is one of those things that will absolutely elevate your photography to the next level, is get your stuff printed. You don't have to print it in a book like I did, but what I wanted to do for this first project of a year of shooting film is I wanted to see how bad my images were at the beginning of the year versus how much they had improved over the 12 months of shooting. And so that's what this book is. This is my film photos of 2021. It's not every single image I shot, but it's about 75 or 80% of them, and mostly just the ones that I thought were the best. And it's so amazing to be able to look at my first month of shooting film and seeing the mistakes and seeing the errors that I was making in my images, and then flip all the way to the back of the book to see how drastic my images were, how much my composition had changed, how my colors were looking, and how everything had just grown in such a beautiful way to see that, hey, like this is my actual growth. This is what I started at, and this is where I am now. And like being able to see where your film journey has taken you over however long you decide to shoot film, it's really wonderful to watch and see that growth. But it's one of those things where it's kind of similar to going to the gym, where you don't see results immediately. It takes a few months to get into really learning how the image gets manipulated with the film and how to properly expose and get the composition just right, where it's just, oh, there's just something about those images that just kind of give you those like, and you know, I like that. I like the way that looks, and like being able to say that I made that or I shot that, it just, I don't know, it's the whole reason that I shoot anyways. Like it's why I do photography, is because I love seeing the growth and the experiences of what I've been able to do over the course of whatever time I have here on this planet, you know? I know that sounds like sappy and kind of like wish-washy voodoo stuff, but I mean, honestly, it's kind of the truth. So all of these images on this first roll that I shot are with the Canon AE1 that you guys have seen a million times, and also another camera. The second camera that I shot all of these images with are this. This is the Canon A1. It's a waterproof 35mm simple point and shoot semi rangefinder-ish camera. This is cheap. This is $100. The Canon was free because it was my dad's old camera. You don't need a lot of expensive gear. You can shoot with simple stuff and it still makes beautiful images. And so let's take a look at some of these images. So my very first roll of film was shot on super cheap Walmart, just Fujifilm Superia Extra 400. It's a really cheap beginner film and they're not good. A lot of these images are really blown out. I wasn't really understanding how the metering was working on my camera, and I knew what numbers I needed to have, but I just wasn't getting it right for some reason. I think it was how I was composing my scene and then thinking about metering afterwards, instead of going into the scene and thinking about metering and then figuring out the composition afterwards. Starting off with the first image that I took on film is a door of a Lamborghini. You can barely tell that it's a Lamborghini because it was a white car on a white background and I did not know how to expose film properly. But not bad, I guess, kind of. Next up, we have a picture of my boss. It's fine, I guess. There's a light leak, that's for sure. Nothing to say about it, nothing good, nothing important. One of the things that I love so much about film is the memories that it makes. Like remembering the first trip that I ever took with my dad's camera was a trip with my friend Colton and Briar to go climb a tower in Zion National Park. I don't have any really great images of that trip, but the ones that I do have like kind of spark something a little bit more exciting in me for some reason, you know. They just have a little bit more of a feeling to them than the digital images that I shot on that trip. Like, cause like I did take my regular camera and I shot digital all throughout the climb, but the times at base camp, just hanging out in the van and packing up gear, like I honestly like the film images more than I like high-end digital images that I did on that trip. It was kind of like my first understanding of why I like film more than I like digital. It was my first time experiencing that the film images, even though they are technically worse images and less professionally done, I still like them more than I like these digital ones that I shot. It's very obvious with a lot of these images that I didn't understand color temperature of what film I'm using versus the scene that I'm shooting in. A lot of these colors are just wrong. There's something incorrect about them. I'm shooting a daylight balanced film and I'm using a lot of tungsten light, and so you're getting these strange color casts where it's kind of this odd reddish hue, yellow, I don't know, it kind of just pushes almost towards the orangish spectrum that I don't like. It's kind of got a flavor a little bit, kind of, but it's not a good flavor. It's off. It's something that you learn when you're shooting film. You start to figure out what stocks work in what situations and when to use a particular film over a different film, or when to shoot black and white versus when to shoot color. And that's what you're going to learn over time. Like I think that's the main thing that I want to say with this video, is that the main way to improve your film photography, and I know you're gonna hate it because this isn't one of those videos where I can give you, you know, a couple quick tips and tricks in order to improve your photography. Like, you just have to buy this one single lens and it will improve your photography forever, or this is the one camera that you need that will make you a better photographer, because it doesn't work that way. It's not real, it's not true. The thing is, you need to spend time. You have to just work at it. You have to be the kid that takes their camera everywhere just because they want to learn how the camera works in that scene. Like, you're going bowling. It's not a very fun, like, exciting wow activity, you know, it's bowling, but take your camera bowling with you, you know? What does this particular film look like under these lights at a bowling alley? What does it do? How does it look? How does it render onto this specific piece of film? And what makes it good? What makes it bad? What makes it unique? And that's how you're going to learn photography. That's how you're going to make things that people have never seen before, because it's unique from your perspective and your experience to it. And that's one of the really beautiful things about film, is that it's such a more personal way to show the world to all of us other photographers and people that want to see your work. I don't know, I'm rambling. but it kind of made sense, I guess. I don't know. I was surprised to see that I was overexposing so much on this first roll of film. Maybe it's because the light meter wasn't working properly. Maybe it's because I didn't know how the light meter was actually supposed to work, but I had probably also read that film likes light, so I was like, oh, let's just overexpose it by a whole bunch and not care. And I was used to shooting like with cameras that have really high shutter speeds where you can just shoot at f1.4 or 1.8 whenever you want. It'll shoot really fast, but you know, these film cameras only have a maximum shutter speed of 1,000 usually. So shooting at 1.8, trying to make beautiful creamy bokeh art, like it ended up just overexposing most of my images, which worked in some cases, but there's a lot of cases where the light's just not correct. And like this one with the crane and the sky that got completely burnt out in the upper section of it, like it might have been really beautiful if the sky was there, but it's just a white blob. You know, it's nothing. Yeah, those are the images. Like this one of the rope or something in a dirt bed, just like, what am I shooting? What is this? You know, I love the ones of my dog. I always love the ones of my dog. They make me so happy. And like, even though they're not great, I do like this sun flare on this one of him in the backyard. I think that's really good. I don't know what I was trying to do with my buddy Jay that was holding up a picture that I had shot of him, but like, obviously these cameras don't shoot very well with just car headlights. You know, this is a picture of a picture that I shot. This is a film image of a digital image that I shot. It's one of my favorite digitals that I ever shot. I do really like this one of the sandal. This one I think came out really good. This one took me a long time to shoot because I was really trying to figure out how the focusing system worked on the Canon, and like I was able to figure it out. I think that came out really beautiful. I really love this one of my dog sitting by the fire hydrant. It just feels so proper. Like that's where a dog needs to be, waiting to pee by a fire hydrant. This one, I don't know what happened. This is one of those things that you notice in cameras when you just pick them up and try and shoot them. Like sometimes there's glitches and oddities. Like I don't know what happened, why there's multiple images stacked on top of each other where you can see the hydrant from the previous image, but then the person raking from the current image, but they're twisted and they could fallen over. Who knows why, but it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of fun. I like it. So these are some of the images that I shot towards the end of the year. And look at the massive difference between my first roll that I shot and after shooting about 40 rolls over the course of 12 months. Look at the difference. Look at how much my images have changed. Look at the colors. Look at the focus. Look at how things actually seem to have a little bit more weight and balance and understanding of how the film is going to render the subjects or where the light needs to be. Like it's so, like I love it. I love seeing the growth. I love seeing how different the images get by just spending time and specifically having intentions of when you're going to shoot film and where you're going to take it, and putting a little bit of thought and effort into doing it the way that you want to do it, and not always just leaning into this is how someone else does it and so I'm going to just do what they do. Like, do it yourself, see what happens, see what you make. The mistakes are the fun part. The mistakes are the things that make the film so much more fun. Using flash when most people wouldn't use flash, or spin around while you're holding your camera, fall backwards into a pool while holding your camera, just see what happens. It makes it, like, that's the whole thing about photography, and it's not even specific to film photography. If you can like immerse yourself in what is happening around you, where you are, what you're experiencing, and be super ultra present with the people that you're talking to and the things that they're doing and the way they're interacting and just how they are, like you get to have these amazing moments that you get to capture on film or just any camera in general. And that's when you see those images from certain photographers that you're just like it feels like you're there and you're experiencing that moment with them. That's what really makes me feel like photography is just so worth it, is to be able to save those images just to keep, you know? Just, I don't know, feels good. Feels really good. This video rambled for a while. Thanks for tuning in to Matic Film Society. It'd be really nice if you guys liked this video, subscribed to our channel, and joined us on this journey of wandering through the world and seeing what we can make with film photos. Thanks. Bye.